Today, it's going to be about Motta's 4-2-3-1 with Juventus that picked up a 98% win rate. That is right, with Juventus, a very strong season. If you do enjoy the tactics, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Once again, we have got 3 tactics today, so make sure you get all 3 because we use all 3 when it comes to the testing. Again, if you want to save yourself a bunch of time, you can go over and get them directly from the Patreon, but they're in a video for a reason. You can get them purely from there, and trust me, this one's a treat. So to actually go over and make this tactic, you are simply going to go in and create your own style, so a clean slate. And of course, it is a 4-2-3-1, so let's go over and load it in. Actually, just to show you what I've done with Juventus, we put on an absolute masterclass. Not really in the Champions League and the Italian Cup, but in the league, it's a flawless season almost. One loss separates that against Parma of all teams. A very strong season where Dusan absolutely tore it up. I know Chiesa is now a Liverpool player, but at the time of testing, he was still a Juve player. So that is why he is still in the team. When it comes to the stats, we are looking at 126 goals, most shots, fewest shots against, competitive in possession, most dribbles, fewest conceded, and the most clean sheets. And when it comes to the data hub, it is going to be looking at a tidy 3.32 goals per game, a great pass completion, a very low amount of goals conceded, which is really good, and a great amount of shots per game. One word would be to describe it, I guess, would be consistent. A lot of goals, not many conceded, a decent pass completion, decent possession. It cooked. But let's go over and make it. So again, the clean slate on attacking, just to clarify that. And I will say right now, if you want to get access to all 3 of these tactics in one simple download, you want them on console, you want them on mobile, you also want access to my rebuild files and the rebuild tactics, you want everything early and priority in your requests, you can come over and join the Patreon where we have got a massive giveaway going on. So you can come over and get involved. There's always a giveaway every month and they seem to be getting bigger. So come on over and get involved and join the other close to 5,000 people. It's going pretty big. But let's go over and talk about this team then. So it is going to be a sweeper keeper who is simply going to be set to support. I will quickly change this mentality to attacking before I forget. So the goalkeeper is going to be a sweeper keeper simply on support. Now when it comes to the rest of this team, I will say it is actually quite attacking. And it's one of the reasons I like Motta, and I was very interested to get this tactic done when I saw the comments being requested. I don't watch a ton of Juventus football, but I will say I'll make an effort to do so because he plays a very entertaining system. When it comes to the fullback on the right hand side, we are going to go over and select get further forwards, stay wider, and also tackle harder. One thing that I picked up from doing my research so far is that the fullbacks do get quite heavily involved in the sort of build-up, so that is why they are going to be so attacking. And that's also going to be exactly the same for the left-hand side. So get further forwards, stay wider, and also tackle harder. Now, when it comes to the back line, on the right-hand side, we are going to go with a ball-playing defender, who is simply going to be set to defend, and next to him is going to be a central defender. So a nice mixture. It actually makes up for what is quite a composed back line, to be honest. Nice and simple, and simply gets the job done. Now, when it comes over to both of these midfield players, we are going to be going with a deeper 4-2-3-1, which is going to shape up a little bit like this. So on the right-hand side of midfield, we are going to go with a DM, and he is simply going to be set to support. He has got some instructions, and that instruction is going to be simply tackle harder. So again, quite reserved, nothing too crazy, just enough to get the job done. And next to him, because we have got a DM, we can go a little bit more out there and actually use a roaming playmaker who is simply also going to have one instruction, which is going to be set to tackle harder. So again, quite basic. The roaming playmaker, of course, by default, is going to be taking more risks and roaming from position. So we didn't really need to add much more to his style. Now, when it comes to the wingers, we've got a few things to talk about. So on the right-hand side, we are going to have a winger on support who has got some instructions. They are going to be consistent of cut inside, shoot more often, get further forwards, and also tackle harder. Of course, I will say at the time of making the video, we did have Chiesa. So obviously they don't have him anymore, so maybe I wouldn't have him shoot more often, for example. But if you have got a good winger who has got good finishing, have shoot more often. If you don't have that, then not have shoot more often. Just remove it. It's pretty simple, but if you want to have a winger, if you've got a winger who's got, I don't know, 13 plus finishing, I'd recommend having it on. If he doesn't, I'd probably sacrifice it, to be honest. Now on the left-hand side, we are going to go with an inverted winger who is going to be set to attack. And we are going to have him on a few instructions. We've got him simply selected to roam from the position and also sit narrow. So again, a couple of instructions opposed to just the 4 of the other one. So a little bit more basic, but of course, by default, the inverted winger is going to be dribbling more, cutting inside by default, and also getting further forward. So we can't apply them double, unlike the winger obviously on the right. Now in the midfield, we are going to go with the AM on support, and we are going to have him on roam from the position, move into the channels, tackle harder, and also mark tighter. A player to sit in that pocket, roam about, pick up the ball. He's got 4 players around him who are deeper than him, so obviously sort of the inverted winger and the winger, I guess, are more level, so he can pass side to side, but the Roman playmaker and the DM he can collect from, build the play up, and basically all goes in to feeding the press and forward, which of course in our scenario was going to be Dusan, who picked up an absolute ton of goals. So that press and forward who is going to be on attack, and we're simply going to add on shoot more often, and that's going to complete actually one of the more attacking 4-2-3-1s I probably have released as of late. I mean, in terms of actually going quite direct with the tactic, it worked really, really well, and when you see the team instructions, you'll be quite surprised, I think. So let's get into them. So again, all based off the clean slate on the attacking, we are going to go all the way up to wide, which might be the first shock of the video, but this is where it does get very interesting because the directness does remain on standard. The tempo is going to go up to slightly higher. I would describe this as pretty much perfect in terms of replication, because I don't think he plays a maxed out press and style, but it definitely is some form of press and B in there. Of course, he does work the ball into the box, and his team is naturally quite good at playing out from the back, and they are really, really expressive. So we are going to be more expressive and also run at defense. So this is a really interesting tactic of quite a direct approach to the counters, but also very fluid movement, good pass and play, very patient when they hit the counter by working the ball into the box. And I was actually really impressed of how well the match engine sort of handled this style of football. It worked really, really well. In transition, we are going to counter press, we're going to distribute quickly and simply play to the centre backs. No real preference on the distribution type, so we're going to leave it nice and blank. And lastly, out of possession, we of course are not going to be playing a mid block, the high pressing line of engagement with that higher defensive line. When it comes to the trigger press, we are going to max that out because we have got a bit of a lower tempo. We're going to prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and as for the line, we are going to step up more. So that's going to be the tactic we use with Juve. It's not the best we done though when it comes to scoring goals. So do stick around because we're now going to go over and make an attacking tactic. And I will say with the attacking tactic, it was an absolute joke. We did test with PSG because, of course, the attacking tactic traditionally is meant for powerhouses or to be used when you're desperate for a goal. You need to switch and go and grab a goal. It's going to be the quadruple: Trophy de Champion, the French Cup, a win in the Champions League, a win in the French League. That probably is to be expected. Our players absolutely took over every stat line. And as you can see, 173 goals being scored, over 800 shots, very good defensively, even possession-wise, really, really consistent with just shy of 60%. But the data hub, 5 goals a game, 5.09, only 0.32 conceded, nearly 26 shots a match, a great pass completion, and it doesn't need to be said, but of course, we're outscoring everyone. So just going a little bit more attacking made the big difference. And that is where the attacking tactic come in. So once again, I always like to keep a very similar shape, which I have done in this tactic, but we've just buffed it up a little bit so the tactic naturally is a little bit more attacking. So the goalkeeper and both of the centre backs are going to remain the same. The fullbacks on the right and on the left are both now going to be on take more risks, cross more, dribble more, run wide, get further forwards, stay wider, and also tackle harder. That's exactly the same for the left and the right hand side. So obviously that is your first real big change. The fullbacks now have gone from quite a reserved role to quite an attacking role in a matter of one simple tactic change. The DM is now simply going to remain the same. The Roman playmaker, a little bit different, move into the channels, tackle harder, and also mark tighter. So again, he's going to be moving into different channels now, progressing up the pitch a little bit more. The winger on the right is now going to be on attack, so again, a bit of a change. On cut inside, shoot more, and also tackle harder. The inverted winger on the left does remain exactly the same. The AM goes up to attack on roam, move into the channels, tackle harder, and also mark tighter. And the press and forward, he remains exactly the same. So I'd probably say the biggest change is to fullbacks, and it definitely helped because we scored a lot more goals and they were getting involved in the play. Of course, moving the winger up on attack on the right also helped, and maybe even the subtle change to the Roman playmaker does make a bit of a difference. But this tactic, once again, is designed for powerhouse teams or to be used to switch to in a game when you're 1-0 down, drawing, and you want to get a goal. They're the only reasons you should deploy the attacking one. Do not use it with Luton. So again, all based off the clean slate on the attacking mentality, we are going to max out the attacking width because that is the way this tactic plays. We're going to overlap left, overlap right, really get them wing backs involved now. We're going to play out from the back while working the ball into the box. That is never going to change. This also remains exactly the same, as does run at defence and also be more expressive. When it comes to in transition, we're going to counter press, we're going to counter, we're going to get the ball moving very quickly and play to anyone across the back line. So very similar to what we saw before. And lastly, out of possession, the high press line of engagement. The line is now going to be a much higher defensive line. Much more often when it comes to the trigger press, we're going to get stuck in, we're going to prevent short goalkeeper distribution because we've got a press and forward, and we are also going to step up more with that defensive line. Now, that will give you a very fast-paced, attacking, aggressive, goal-scorer machine of a tactic. But, of course, I had to cover the other side of things. I've also made more of a controlling, possession-based tactic, probably designed for more underdog teams, middle-table teams, where you simply want to go in and dominate the ball, get a feel for the game, or, of course, it can be used to waste time as well. So let's go over and see what we've done with it. For that team, none other than Barcelona. So I picked Barcelona because it is more of a possession tactic, and that is the one team that come into my mind. And as you can see, it's incredible. I mean, the Spanish Cup, we won that. The Spanish Super Cup, we also win that. The Spanish First Division, we also go ahead and win that. Only drawing one game, winning the other 37. And if we actually go and have a little look, not only did we score a ton of goals, Dani Olmo, by the way, had a great season. If we look at the stats, we are going to be incredibly competitive when it comes to the goals. Possession, we're not going to be rank 1. I'm not going to hide that fact. We were very, very solid on the ball, but because we still have that attack and bone in our body, we absolutely stampeded Madrid, Sevilla, Valencia. Nobody got near us, and the data hub as well will back it up at 4.24 goals per game, 0.37. It's just a really good set of stats. You can't really argue it. A great data hub, a treble winning season. I guess the only disappointment would be that Champions League. I guess that would only be, but there again, we knocked ourselves out of that. So would we have won that? I'm going to say yeah. Defensive tactic is still going to be the same traditional 4-2-3-1 shape, but it is going to be a lot more defensively minded. So the goalkeeper is simply going to be on support. The fullback on the right and on the left are both now going to be on defend, on stay wide and also tackle harder. A central defender and ball playing defender do remain unchanged. A DM comes in on defend, on tackle harder and mark tighter. And we also next to him go really, really sort of sensible, I would say. A ball winning midfield player simply on mark tighter. So it's going to be really rock solid at the back. The winger on the right is now on support, on shorter passing, cut inside, shoot less often and roam from position. And on the left, exactly the same. So a big switch up when it comes to the wingers, as they're now going to be more possession minded, passing minded than take on a player sort of vibe. The player in the middle, the AM on support, roam, move into the channels, tackle harder and mark tighter. And the press and forward, he remains the same because I want him to be aggressive, put challenges in and get stuck in. Let's go over the team instructions. Come over to the team instructions again on the clean slate, this time down to balanced. I will say we are going to have a bit of a switch up here. So the real big change is going to be the fact it is more possession orientated. So it is still going to be mixed crosses. We are going to work the ball into the box. We're going to play out from the back. We're going to dribble less. The first real big change. We're going to go all the way down to much shorter, which will lower the tempo to slightly lower. If you're using this to defend a game out, you can also introduce time wasting, but that is completely down to your situation. If you're going into a game with this tactic, I would not have time wasting selected. In transition, we're going to counter press. When we've got the ball, we're going to hold shape. Again, really controlling based and play to anyone across the back line while rolling the ball out. Again, if you are trying to waste time, you can even slow the pace down in that tab here. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go with a higher defensive line, a mid-block line of engagement. We're going to step up more and leave this bang on in the middle. A real nice way of playing here because we're going to have a high line and mid-block as well. So very easy to keep the ball as the players are going to be quite compressed. And that is why we've done so well at doing the job we've done. And as you can see, you've got 3 incredible tactics here, which do look very, very similar, but I can promise you play very, very different. This one's probably for your usual balanced team. This one more for your powerhouse team. This one for your underdog team, / a team which you just want to have a load of possession with. And of course, you don't have to go into games with them. You can simply go into every game with this Motta 4-2-3-1, but always have these two at your disposal. So if you ever want to change your style because you need a goal, or you want to sort of go more defensive, control the game, you need all 3. It's so much easier than changing a tactic mid-game. Load in all 3, simply click between the tactical styles, and you'll change your team just like that. But if you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Again, if you want to show any more love to the channel, you can come over and join the Patreon in the link below, where we've got close to 5,000 people enjoying over 13 exclusive perks to them. People absolutely love it. And if you haven't seen it, you want to come over and get involved, there's going to be a ton of content before FM25. But when FM25 comes out, we've got a lot of stuff coming. I'm going to be giving away match tickets, football shirts, money giveaways, loads of stuff going on. Be sure to come over and get involved, and I'll see you in the next one.